I know as nonprofit executive directors, we really want to be a one-man show, but for legal reasons, for operational reasons, and really just for strictly good governance and stewardship of nonprofit funds, we need a solid board of directors. And I'm going to be going through with you today exactly what roles should be included on your nonprofit board of directors. Hi, I'm Kelly, the nonprofit nerd, and I help nonprofit leaders just like you create an organization and life of joy, ease, and incredible impact by doing things like recording this video for you. So make sure to follow me on Instagram at nonprofitnerd and subscribe below. Subscribe below so you can get weekly tips on how you can do nonprofit leadership and life just a little bit better. And I'm here to make your life a little bit easier. Now, before you go recruiting your friends and family of your board members to serve on your board, I highly recommend you focus on board diversity by watching this video, and you focus on making sure these roles that I'm going to go through with you right now, these must-have roles are filled on your board, because if you can get the right board members in the right positions and have them really understand what you're doing, your board of directors can be one of the key points to moving your organization forward. And that's what we are all about, of making sure your organization can reach its mission and hopefully strive towards its vision successfully. So here are the must-have roles for your nonprofit board. Now, a solid board of directors for nonprofits is not just focused on board governance and making sure you operate successfully, but they also collectively are the executive director's boss. So when you're focusing on recruitment, this should really be an open conversation with multiple stakeholders to make sure you have the right board members. And here are 4 board members that no matter what, I highly recommend you have. And the first one is your board president or chair. Now, this board president, no, some board members think the board president is the boss of the executive director. That's not the case. Collectively, your board of directors is your boss, but your board president is the one in charge of working with you to create the agenda for the board meetings and really facilitating the conversations that need to happen so you can function strategically. The second role that you need to make sure you have is your board vice president or vice chair. And this person is in charge of supporting the president in their duties and also filling in if the president is not available to perform their duties. And finally, the third role you need to make sure you have filled, and I would argue even more than the board president, you need to make sure it's the right person filling this role, is the board secretary. And when you think secretary for a board, don't think of the person doing the small administrative tasks. Really think of this as a recording secretary, the person keeping track of all of the history, all of the governance, all of the decisions that were made for your organization in records that can be accessed by the people that might need to. And so you can have written documentation over time of the decisions made by your board of directors in terms of good governance. If you do not have a solid recording secretary that is good at their job, often we can feel like we're spinning our wheels and don't really know what was even discussed at the last board meeting, what decisions were made, and we end up just like spinning our wheels. So make sure that that third role, that secretary, is the right skilled person. And the fourth role you need to make sure you have filled is the board treasurer. And what exactly this role looks like differs so much dependent on how your nonprofit is set up. If you are a volunteer board, that means where you're doing both governance and operations, like doing the work voluntarily as a board of directors, your board treasurer might actually be doing the bookkeeping and accounting. Ideally, you will be working towards transitioning this to staff or outsourcing, and your board treasurer will be in charge of doing treasury reports, summarizing and educating the entire board of directors, not just in writing, but pulling out the information to talk about where your nonprofit sits financially and what needs there might be for the future. Now, those are the 4 roles you need to make sure, and oftentimes you are legally required or according to your bylaws should have filled in order to operate as a functioning board. But I highly recommend, if you are looking to really operate as a structured board, in addition to those 4 roles, or maybe overlapping those 4 roles, you need these 5 slots. And again, these could be duplicates. These 5 slots of skills and expertise also represented on your nonprofit board of directors. And the first one I'm going to call the operational guru. This is one person on your board of directors that really understands and might actually have worked in the same space. They understand the work that you as an organization are doing, or if you're a new nonprofit, the work you are trying to do. This will help as you're making decisions, have someone internally that has some knowledge and expertise to guide in the operational decision making, not of operational decision making, but in the governance of how you should be operating as an organization. One of my favorite kind of jokes when it comes to boards, nonprofit or for-profit, is how many bankers and lawyers can we really recruit to sit on boards? Like, aren't there other people that really add value to a nonprofit? And yes, this is true, but I would highly recommend, and again, this could be duplicate. This could be someone that serves as a president, vice president, treasurer, or secretary already, but you need to make sure you have a lawyer or someone with legal expertise, overtime, paralegal, something, a lawyer or someone with legal expertise on your board. Why? Chances are, if you're a nonprofit that's really moving forward, you're starting to interact with very complex, whether it be grants, legal mandates, HR, workplace situations. You need to have someone that has that background that can at least help you see and mitigate potential risks you might be doing as you move forward. Again, we can't be experts at everything, and that's why we recruit a diverse board to fill the expertise, so collectively as a board we are making good decisions. The third role you need to make sure you have, role, and I would argue skill, you need to make sure you have on your board is the networker. And when I say networker, I don't mean someone that's really good and smarmy at meeting new people. This is someone that has a developed network where they can help your organization. The networker can help open doors for your organization. So I highly recommend you have at least one person that can help open doors for your organization. One of the things that happens is we overvalue the skill set, and sometimes we'll get a board of directors where like half the people are people that know people. Again, you need 1 or 2 of these individuals on your board. You don't need an entire board of networkers, because you also, more than just meeting people and opening doors, need to be focused on governance that includes more than just networking and fundraising. The 4th board role that you should probably have is someone that has fundraising and marketing expertise. And this is especially important if you do not have an in-house fundraising director. Even if your executive director is the one that's responsible for all the fundraising, you don't want them being the only person wearing the hat. And chances are, if you're an executive director, you're walking in, learning how to fundraise as you go, failing forward, figuring it out. So it's helpful to have someone on the board of directors that can educate the other board members on what they should be doing and also support the executive director in the fundraising efforts. And the 5th and final one, and often this overlaps with your board president, but it doesn't have to, and that is your advocate. This is the person that in addition to the executive director often serves as the face at events and with the press. And I highly recommend you have an advocate, someone that can really speak at their core in those goosebumpy, needle-moving ways about your organization and its mission and vision. I think it's important to have at least one board member that is so emotionally able to get that done. Now, I do firmly believe to get your board of directors off to the right track, having those 4 roles filled and then those 5 additional skill sets or roles of board members to make sure they're represented on your board will set your nonprofit in terms of having the recipe for success in a board. But that's not enough. You need to make sure the board does not intrinsically know what they should be doing. So if you're looking on how you can level up your board of directors or get that magic mix of people and then train them to be the best board members they can be so you can be lead an impactful nonprofit, go ahead and download the free board job description on the Nonprofit Nerd website. You can click on the link below. Please make sure you subscribe so you can get weekly videos every Thursday from the Nonprofit Nerd. And if you're interested in board trainings for your perfect board that you put together using this video, check out the Nonprofit Nerd website where we have custom board trainings, including a board basics bootcamp for your organization. Until next week, I hope you have an easy and impactful week ahead.